How's it going, Jeremians? This is the third and final episode in my three-part series on the Casio PX-S1000 digital piano. If you haven't taken a look at my very first video where I did a short demonstration on the specification and capabilities of this digital piano, do make sure you check it out. And also in video number 2, I talk about the 13 things that I love about this piano. And anyone who tells you that a digital piano is perfect for you is basically just a marketing gimmick, because there is no such thing as a perfect piano. Therefore, there are 10 things about the Casio PX-S1000 that I'm not too hot about. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but with these few things that can be added on, or these features that can be improved on, it will move a couple of steps nearer to being a great value and perfect digital piano. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jeremy C, and in my channel I make reviews, tips, tutorials about digital pianos and arranger keyboards. If you like content like this, make sure you subscribe and smash that notification bell icon. In my opinion, one of the things that can be improved on the Casio Previa PX-S1000 digital piano is the weight of the keys. So the PX-S now uses a dual sensor instead of a previous generation tri-sensor. You would think that 3 sensors are better than 2 sensors. So Casio is now using software as part of their smart scale hammer action. And computer code and software is being used to detect where is the position of the hammers, and then it scales it accordingly. However, I feel that the weight is just not heavy enough for myself as a piano player. I play on quite a number of grand pianos a couple of times a week. I play on a couple of Yamaha grand pianos. I play on a Kawai Shigeru grand piano. I also have access to a Steinway grand piano, which I play very often. And this piano just doesn't have the kind of weight that I would expect as a classical pianist. Do not be mistaken, the action is still very good, but rather than being a fully weighted heavy key action, it feels more to me like kind of a semi-weighted action. One of the concerns of many people on the Piano World forums, on the Casio Music forum, is that they feel that the response of repeated notes will not be so good with this dual sensor setup on this Casio PX-S1000. And in this video, you can see that that is not the case. Have a look. There are also concerns with the new smart scale hammer action, whether the pianissimo up to fortissimo can be correctly brought out by a classical pianist. And there is no such concern at all, as you can see in this video of my playing. Many people are extremely skeptical that because Casio has shortened the depth of this piano to just 23 centimeters, they are worried that the key travel is just not gonna be enough. You cannot defy the laws of physics, and it's just not gonna feel the same as a regular piano. I do have to agree to a certain extent that it doesn't feel exactly like a piano. The kind of key action that I prefer is actually the one found on the Kawai ES110 as well as the KORG D1. However, the KORG D1 has no speakers and is pretty much double the weight of this Casio as well. This setup on the Casio PX-S1000 is really perfect for me when I'm playing, for example, electric piano sounds, and I'm really comfortable doing the little sliding glissandos on the jazz organ sound, because this is just simply not so weighted like a regular piano. Of course, if price is not an issue, then the gold standard in the industry is pretty much the Yamaha CP88 that was recently launched at Winter NAMM. That has a fantastic keybed. It has wooden keys, but then you are paying the price with an extremely heavy digital piano that is easily, I believe, up to 3 times the weight of the Casio PX-S1000, and it costs at least 2 to 3 times more than the Casio PX-S1000. The second thing that I feel that Casio should have done with their USB port is that they should have included an audio interface With an audio interface, we can just simply connect this to our computer, our laptop, without having to go through an additional audio interface, and we can directly record into our DAW and make music from there. This is a feature that has been found on many of the Yamaha digital pianos, so if it's critical for you, you need audio output from the USB interface, then that is something you might want to take into consideration. As for me, I have no problems because I have an audio interface which I record with, but it's something that's nice to have. So I have it on my Clavinovas, I have it on my P125, as well as on the MODX keyboards. They have an audio interface that is built into the USB socket of the instrument, and it is not found here. So the USB socket here is purely just for MIDI. So talking about MIDI, that brings me to the third thing that I feel that Casio should have just gone one step further. There is a Bluetooth 5.0 function that is able to connect your mobile devices to the speakers that is built into this Casio PX-S1000. It is a pity though that Casio didn't just nudge it one step further and included Bluetooth MIDI on this Casio PX-S1000. I am pretty sure that many people who buy this will be using this as a controller keyboard for their DAW, controlling VSTs, and having one less cable by having Bluetooth MIDI is definitely a very welcome move. And especially in situations where you're doing gigs and you are controlling an external sound module, having less cables is definitely a lot more welcome. The next thing that I'm not too hot about is that there is a price for looking beautiful. There is no doubt that this piano glossy black fascia is extremely beautiful and professional looking, especially when it's turned off. It just really looks beautiful in the living room, in the room, or even on a stage. However, this glossy little fascia is a fingerprint magnet, and just touching any of the keys are just gonna leave lots of fingerprints all over the glossy bits of this piano. This is also a problem that is present if you get the white unit as well. If you touch all the glossy areas, you are gonna attract a lot of fingerprints on these glossy bits. One of the things that Casio could have done to this glossy surface is to add an oleophobic layer to this, and it would definitely resist fingerprints a lot better. The fifth thing that I would like this piano to have is at least some kind of a one-line LED screen that tells me what kind of sound I have selected. When selecting the sound, when I press the function button and the specific instrument key, it will sound that specific instrument, no doubt about that. But once the sound is selected, let's say I move off and I come back later, I have no idea what is the active sound, which is not a problem if you're practicing. But if you're on stage and you're gonna be doing your gigs, you really want to know what is the selected and active sound and be in total control of the instrument. You don't want to start playing a set and then suddenly you realize you've got the wrong sound called up, because there is no indication on the fascia or on the interface showing what instrument you have selected. The sixth thing about this Casio PX-S1000 I am kind of lukewarm about is that I believe in being inclusive, and there are many instrumentalists, many piano players who are visually challenged. And this is just not going to make it for them because there is no tactile buttons. Everything is just functioning by touch sensors, and there is no way somebody who is visually challenged would be able to maneuver around in this environment. Also, somehow the old school guy in me just kind of prefer that tactile click, that very assuring feel of a tactile buttons found on the other competitors' digital pianos. And talking about the little touch surface that is on the PX-S1000, they have made it such that not the entire part of the button is actually sensitive. So the button is made up of the word, the lit up word, as well as two strips of light. And most people who are using this for the first time would intuitively reach out for the words, and they would press on the words and find that there is no reaction at all from this Casio PX-S1000. They have to press on the two strips of lights rather than the word itself. I felt that Casio should have made the entire part, the words including the two strips of light, reactive and sensitive to the touch of the user. The seventh thing is really just a nitpicking detail. For a piano that looks as good as this, the music stand just feels like it's out of place. It doesn't feel like it's part of this very professional looking, very svelte, very smooth, glossy looking fascia of this piano. So I wish that Casio had put more thought into the design of the music stand. The eighth thing that I found missing, and I really wanted that function, is that there is absolutely zero way of saving any sounds that you modify. This piano has a number of parameters you can change for each sound. You can change the string resonance, you can change the damper resonance, you can change the key on and off samples, you can change the hall simulator, you can change the amount of chorus, the amount of reverb. There are quite a number of parameters that you can change. However, after changing, there's no way to store it into a setting. I wish that Casio had given like maybe just a basic 4 buttons or 4 bangs that I can just save the sounds in. I am not looking for something really high-end like the PX-S1000, which has a lot of bangs and a lot of memory slots for saving the registration. When you're out there and doing little gigs and doing a practice, you would have different sounds set up for your different songs exactly the way you want it, and there's really no way to store that. Fortunately, there is an auto resume function on this piano. So if you turn on the auto resume function on this piano, even when you turn off this piano, it will remember your last setting when you turn it off. So the next time you power it on, it will revert back to the settings that you had before you turned off this piano. So essentially, it is able to save one single setting. But that is going to be a problem for my students taking the Trinity Pop and Rock or the Rock School syllabus, because you might have the first song using a Rhodes piano and the second piece that they need to present using a jazz organ sound, and the third piece they present might be using the grand piano tone, and there's no way to tweak those and have those recalled immediately to present that to the examiners. And we all know in that kind of scenario, the examiner is not going to wait 5 minutes for you as you slowly tweak all the settings that you want. The ninth thing I'm going to talk about is about metronome and about keeping time. We all know that a metronome is essential for learning how to keep time and to make sure that everybody plays in time. However, metronomes are boring, and Yamaha knows that, Kawai knows that, Roland knows that. On the Kawai ES-110, there are a couple of rhythms built in instead of the metronome. On the P125, you get quite a number of rhythms built in instead of just the metronome, and you've got that function on the Roland FP30 as well. So it was surprising to me that Casio didn't just throw in a bunch of rhythms. I'm not asking for a lot, just give me like 6 or 7 basic rhythms covering, for example, pop, rock, bossa nova, give me one swing in there, and I'll be a happy guy. I don't want to be practicing with only a metronome that goes ting, tock, 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 and it just drives me nuts, right? Just a rhythm is so much better when you're practicing and you're able to feel the groove of whichever genre of music that you are playing with. The 10th and last thing I felt that Casio could have done a bit better has not to do with the piano itself, and that has got to do with what comes in the package, in the box itself. Let's be frank, let's be honest. I'm gonna give you 2 seconds. Raise your hand up if you have a USB Type B cable. The USB Type B is got a printer head kind of USB end to it, and going to USB-C or a micro USB N. This kind of cable are so rare and so difficult to hunt down that I have a problem using the Cordana app because I just couldn't get a connection to my Android device. So I have Android devices that uses the standard micro USB, that uses the standard USB-C, which are readily available, but to find a cable where it's Type B on one end and Type C on the other end is gonna be a massive headache looking for it, which is quite unlike my experience with, for example, buying a phone, right? They would have usually included a couple of cables in there for you. So I wish that Casio would have included a cable for USB-B to a lightning connector or a USB Type B to a USB Type C and Type A multi-connector kind of cable. And with the economies of scale that Casio have, they can pretty much get the cable for a few cents, and it's something that they could have easily included out of the box. Those were the couple of things that I wasn't too hot about the Casio PX-S1000, but don't get me wrong, I really love this piano. I think it's really good value for money, and it shows the right direction that Casio is going with their previous line of portable digital pianos. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about these flaws, as well as my other videos that I've done on the Casio PX-S1000. Make sure you share this video with your friend and give it a great big thumbs up if you like this video. Till the next time, keep making great music. Peace and out.